Hello friends, I'm glad to welcome you to the third lesson. Today we will talk about garlands, arcs, types of weaving. Let's inflate balloons, learn to tie them, and talk about street decoration, temperature features, and specifics. For outdoor decorations, we mainly take balloons from Jimar or Kalisan. These two brands suit us in terms of price and quality. We can use balloons that are more expensive. This is your choice. But if you take into account the fact that the balloons will be on the street, then Jamar and Kalisan do an excellent job with this task. You can make decoration from the most expensive balloons if you have the budget. If the client is willing to pay for this balloon, if he understands the visual difference. If you and I understand and see the shape, then the client may not even notice it, especially in summer. In the summer, there is definitely no point in overpaying money, because in the summer the balloons change their color, they oxidize, their shine disappears. This is why we do a great job with Jamar or Kalisan balloons in the summer. For example, we don't like the Occident Mexican latex balloon. It has thin latex, then tying the balloons break. Here's maroon, a more durable, thicker material. Now, if the latex oxidant is more suitable for helium, the same Kalisan brand is more suitable for air. So we will inflate a garland of 10-inch balloons. Also, the garland can be inflated from 5 inches. There are 12-inch ones. It makes absolutely no difference now. Here you need to decide what size of the garland is needed and for what purposes this garland will be used. If you need to decorate the opening of a large-scale housing complex where you will have 100 meters of garlands there, for example, you need larger balloons, respectively 12, 14, and maybe even 16 and 18. We will make a garland from clusters, not by 4 balloons, but by 5 balloons. Now I will tell you all this in more detail about the cluster, about 4 to 5 balloons, and accordingly about the sizes. The standard garland that goes around the entrance to the store. This is a standard situation when the facade of the building is decorated with balloons. This is either a garland or an arc. These are the most classic ways of decorating the facades of stores with balloons. You take a 10-inch balloon made by Jamar, in this case, and inflate the balloons at a time. Let's inflate, let's say, 2 raspberry ones. Let's take a calibrator. In this case, 19 centimeters. 19 centimeters is the average, and we use in the spring and fall. Well, in winter you can also use 19 centimeters if it's not very cold. If it's very cold, then you can even use 20. So in summer we take 18 centimeters, in winter we take 20 centimeters, spring and autumn 19 centimeters. These are the sizes that are great for a certain time of the year. We take 2 balloons. It is advisable to buy a compressor with 2 nozzles. It will be much more convenient for you to inflate the 2 balloons at once and accordingly tie them. Now I will show you how to tie 2 balloons together. After that, I'll show you how to tie the balloons separately. In this case, it is more convenient for us to tie 2 balloons together. Inflate 2 raspberry balloons fuchsia 007 Jamar. Inflate it.
Пропускаем через отверстие
Through
19
the hole
сантиметров.
19 centimeters, the balloon should touch on all sides of the calibrator.
И
Accordingly, we deflate it. Two balloons, as you can see, we have the same. Now here I show you how to tie two balloons. I hold two tails, twist them together. Just twist two tails. Put two fingers between the tails and two fingers cross between the tails. One tail rests on the second tail. Between these tails there are two fingers, and now I stick one tail under the other, put it in, and now I take it and tighten. The two balloons are tightly connected. So we take the second color,
ноль.
075 shading Jamar. Respectively inflate the two balloons together, calibrate to 19 centimeters, and tie two balloons together. We take two balloons, we take the tails, twist them together, put two fingers between the two tails, put one tail on the second, and stick it under it. Put it in, remove the fingers and tighten it. Yes, we have it was tied. Take the second twirl and connect two twirls. Twist and get a cluster of 4 balloons. The most common cluster in a straight garland is a cluster of 4 balloons of 2 shades. So we have learned how to tie 2 balloons together. Now we will tie each balloon separately. Well, for example, we inflate a purple balloon and calibrate it by 19 centimeters. With this technique, we can tie balloons not only inflated with air but also with helium. We take the tail of the balloon with our right hand, precisely by the tail. With our left hand, we put 2 fingers on top of the tail that we have wrapped with our right hand. 2 fingers that we put on top, we scroll together with the tail. The palm looks down. Now the palm should look up. We twisted the tail. I'll show it again. 2 fingers on top, twisted the tail. We hold the tail with 2 fingers between the 2 fingers that are in the balloon. And now insert this tail inside with our thumb. Insert, remove 2 fingers and tie them with 2 fingers. We hold by the knot. The second hand holds the tail with 2 fingers and pulls. Don't do this. Micro cracks can form through which air will pass. We take the second ball. By the way, inflate it 2 times. More than it should be, several times, in order for the balloon to be elastic. In order to check for defects. If the balloon is defective, then it may burst when inflated on this size. So we tested it. And now we are blowing it down to 19 centimeters. If you make the first balloon, inflate it to the maximum, inflate it to a certain size, then you need to do the same with the next balloons. We take the tail with our right hand. I show you this technique as right-handed. If you are left-handed, do it in mirror image. Here I am right-handed. I take a knot in my right hand, insert a ball between the hand and the body. That is, I hold it with my hand and body. I insert 2 fingers from above, twist it, insert the tail and insert it with my thumb inward. tighten it. With this technique, you will tie one balloon at a time. Basically, this technique will be used when inflating balloons with helium. So, then I showed how 4 balloons are inflated, and now I will show how 5 balloons are inflated. We will have all different shades, for example, green, purple, yellow, blue, and crimson, for example. So, we have purple, green too. I take blue and pink, for example. I take 2 balloons at once, inflate. I got a defective ball. He already comes with a hole. It happens that the balloon is defective. Dispose of it immediately. We inflate 19 centimeters. Twist 2 balloons together. 2 fingers around 2 fingers. And 1 tail under the second tail. And tighten. There's 1 pair. We take the yellow balloon and inflate it. Well, let's say this balloon is not there, I'll postpone it. We inflate it with purple, that is, we need to inflate, in this case, 2 pairs and 1 additional balloon. I want to show that 2 deuces are inflated at the beginning. In this case, we have a deuce purple, yellow and blue pink. No difference, you can inflate there, let's say, purple with pink, purple with yellow, no difference, we will then twist together in the future. We have 2 deuces and 1 more ball. We have to make a cluster of 5 balloons. Now we combine the 2 with 1 ball. We just bind. You can take 2 tails and tie as we tied 2 balloons together. Also, using this very technique, 1 balloon was tied to a 2. We take the 2 that we inflated first and 1 more balloon. We twist the 3 with the 2. We just take it, insert into each other and twist it. Thus we get a cluster of 5 balloons. It's okay if you twist them. Here, look. They do not twist. I take my hand, they twist. This is normal. Also, the cluster of 3 balloons itself will also twist. This situation is normal. When we build them, everything will be different. This means a cluster of 4 balloons of 2 shades. Although, according to the same technique, there can be 4 different colors. But mainly 2 shades are used. Usually the logo is in 2 colors, and if there are many shades, it already looks childish. So here we have 5 colors at the moment. We will inflate the subsequent colors in the same shades, on the same size, and accordingly we will connect the clusters of 5 balloons with the help of twine. Now I will show how the twine looks like. All the equipment was shown with you in the last lesson. So the twine, the rope is very strong. It is sold in large base, 1 kilometer long, or sold at 100 or 200 meters. It is more profitable for us to buy 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer base. It means that it is very important to find support. You can tie it to a balloon, for example, by the door handle. You can tie it by the chair leg. This is how I will now tie it to the chair leg. We tie the twine to the leg of the chair on a knot. Tighten and inflate the balloons that we need for our garland. So now I will demonstrate how to assemble a cluster of fives for a twine. Thus clusters of fours are collected. For example, I'll inflate 5 more clusters of 5 balloons each. It will take a couple of minutes. We take the first 5, line up the balloons in the sequence we want, tie the twine in the center, knit tightly on 2 knots, put our 5 on the support, and put the second 5 on top in the same sequence. We have a sequence. We build a sequence, and now with the shift to the right or with the shift to the left, we put our clusters to each other, putting them into a puzzle. Take our rope, to which the first cluster is tied, and twist it around one ball and around the second ball. Mandatory condition: there must be tension. The second 5 should be attracted to the first. You cannot pull the tails of one 5 to the nails of another 5. You just need a little tension. Twist it a couple of times, that will be enough. We see that we have a sequence. Green, pink, purple, yellow, blue. We take the next cluster. I also wanted to tell you that if you put the balloons on the floor, then the floor should be clean. If the floor is dirty, then the balloons will collect all the dust that will be on the floor. Well, one of the options is to buy packages and put everything on packages, or a clean floor. So let's take the next cluster. You can immediately build a sequence. We have pink, then purple, then yellow, blue, and green. Well, it's the same. Now with a shift to the right, we have a pattern in one direction. In one direction, by shifting to the right, we put our cluster, press it a little and twist it once, twist it 2, maybe 3, that will be enough. So we take the next cluster and do the same thing. We build a sequence, present our 5. The 5 is not the size of the ball, but the number of balloons in the cluster: 4, 5, 6. 7 balloons in a cluster is already very difficult to place, but it is possible. But this is very hard to twist. We twisted it, and now we see that in this place the pattern went in the wrong direction, because we placed the balloons from 5 incorrectly. We take it simply and swap it. Now that's right. We take one more cluster and arrange it in the correct sequence. This is a little problematic because there are many colors, many balloons in a cluster, and it takes more time than if we made a garland of 4 clusters of 4 balloons. We twist it, and as you can see, we have got such a mini garland. Well, and accordingly we continue. When you already have more than a meter, it is desirable to bind to a stable surface with this tail. It can be a balloon, maybe a chair, maybe a table, maybe a door handle. It will be convenient for you when the garland is in this position. You will add every 5. From this technique you can make shapes, you can make columns, you can make arcs, you can make garlands. So, there are 5 balloons here. 5 balloons are made in order to make the garland wider, or the second option, to use more shades. For example, in a garland where a cluster of 4 balloons is more than 4 balloons, colors, you will not be able to have a cluster accordingly unless you make blocks: blue block, yellow block, orange block, and so on. Here we can use 5 shades. You can use balloons that will be repeated in shades. For example, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow. Then you will have 2 colors. You can use different color combinations. In this case, the color can be either one of or from 1 to 5. 2 shades can be used. There can be 3 shades, there can be 4, or there can be 5. In a garland that consists of 4 balloons in a cluster, there are slightly fewer flowers. 4 balloons will be used in a garland. It is when using this technique here. This means that you can put the balloons on the frame, you can put them on the rope, depending on where you will be fastening and what the fastening conditions are. We can fix this garland on the assembly site. Additionally, the video will be sent immediately after watching this video, and there is detailed instructions on how to attach a garland without a frame when using mounting platforms. You can also use this garland by placing it on the frame. The frame can be like this. It is a chipboard with a corner and a metal plastic pipe. Firstly, we can first put it on the twine and then just put it on. Or we can immediately put it on our frame. The same thing that we did. But I will do it on a metal plastic pipe. This frame is used to create garlands, to create columns. We can bend a metal plastic pipe evenly, or we can make it in the form of a wave and create it on it. For example, a symmetrical garland on different sizes. In this case, we will align it. And we can fit a 4 or a 5 in this way. I'll tell you about this design. So we take chipboard or OSB as a basis. This is how this OSB square looks like. Pressing sawdust. Here the thickness is 20 millimeters. We take the foil. The foil is floristic. We cut off the size we need so that we can wrap our board. So we usually take chipboard with a thickness of 16 millimeters. Since OSB is lighter, we take a little thicker. So we apply, turn over, or staple with a stapler, or glue with adhesive tape. We also put in the corners with tape, glue them to the back of our board. We take a chipboard sheet at the hardware store and order a cut for the whole sheet. We make about 40 boards from one sheet of board. 40 by 40, 50 by 50, 30 by 30. And the cost of one board is about 10-15 hryvnia. There's another option. We take same old, unnecessary cupboard. We take old furniture and we sew it ourselves. Or there is an option to go to a company that deals with furniture and buy just leftovers from them. You yourself can cut it all to the sizes you need. This is how our plate looks like. The silver color in a neutral color. We use a screwdriver to screw the corner. The fixing angle is sold on the market, sold in hardware stores. It costs about 10 hryvnia, and the cost of such a platform together with chipboard together with the screws comes out about 25 hryvnia. In addition, we need a metal plastic pipe with a diameter of 20 millimeters. There are 16 millimeters and 20 millimeters. 20 millimeters is more stable and a little harder to work with, but it is much stronger than 16. From it we can make an asymmetrical garland, we can make a frame in the form of wave, or we can make a straight garland, straight frame, straight arc, and use this design to work with columns, even straight decks. For example, the moment when you need to decorate the store but the top does not allow. There is a sign at the top and we cannot make an arc. We cannot attach a garland under this sign because the door opens immediately. There are different facades, different shops, and in this case it would be ideal to make such a frame. The pipe of the required size for the height of our column. Accordingly, we can put the balloons from the very bottom to the very top. Or we can put garlands on the rope in advance, as we made from 5 balloons, and then just insert from inside. We take, insert and twist, for example, 2 balloons around the pipe so that it does not come out. And we got such a garland that we can make in the office and with the help of a large machine translate and simply put it where it should stand. But you definitely need to fix it somewhere because passers-by are trying to pull the ball. There is a wind that wobbles a garland. It is imperative that the garland be fixed somewhere. Even if it stands steadily, it still needs to be fixed because the weather changes, different people pass by, especially children try to reach the balloon and pull the garland behind them. This option is great. when there is no way to attach mounting pads. If it is possible to attach mounting pads, then we fasten every meter on the smooth surface of the mounting pad and attach our garland to these pads. There is an additional video where it will be shown in full detail how we make street decoration using mounting platforms. So now we made a garland of clusters of 5 balloons. Now we will make a garland of clusters of 4 balloons. But we will immediately make and attach our garland to the frame. The frame for the arc differs from the frame for the columns made of reinforced plastic pipes. It is very difficult to bend the perfect arc shape, so we will use a different type. We will use a pipe called electrical. Also 20, but it is good because it always returns to its shape. We try to bend it from both sides. At the same time, it ideally turns into an arc, into an ideal arc, when there are 3 of these pipes. This is the standard size of an arc, 6 meters. We can get the perfect arc. This means that we need to buy 3 pipes with a diameter of 20 millimeters, 2 meters each. This will be 6 meters. And in addition, we need adapters between pipes. This pipe is not expensive. It is sold by stores that sell electrical goods. An electric cable is laid through the pipe and connected using such adapters. This connector for a pipe with a diameter of 20 millimeters fits from above. Be sure to fasten an adapter with a pipe with tape. We attach the adapter very well because we will create pressure.
Создаваться.
And we
Это
need
прям
it
очень
very
хорошо.
well. We stretch it well, cut it off. We have the first pipe, which from below will be fixed to our chipboard frame with a corner. Similarly, we take the second pipe and do the same. We take the second pipe and glue it with tape to our adapter. The cost of such a set is about 100 hryvnia. 3 pipes, 2 adapters. Such a structure can be rented, and you can give the cost of your work your photo zone. We screwed on, glued the adapter to our electrical pipe. And now we need to put them on the chipboard. Let me remind you that as a basis we use either chipboard 16mm thick or OSB 20mm thick. Chipboard can also be used 20. Now our task is to attach our electrical pipe to our corner. We use tape. First, fix it with tape so that it's more convenient for you to fasten it. Screw it in with self-tapping screws. Screw it through the corner into our pipe. If we don't attach it with tape, then it will be difficult for us to screw it in the pipe. It will dangle, and when we fix it well, it will be convenient for us to screw a couple of self-tapping screws into it. We glued the pipe with tape. Take a screwdriver and screw it in there. Set the pipe evenly. Can be attached from the bottom and from the top. The first part of the arc is ready. We did the second part in the same way. As a rule, the pipe is slightly tilted to one side, as you see, so you need to look in which direction it tilts and fix it. If we have a board located like this, and the pipe is slightly squinted in one direction, we need to line up so that everything is in the same direction. Repeat the same action. This can be done with a screwdriver, but with an auto screwdriver it is much easier to do. This means that we have two side racks. I will move them to the wall so that you can see. Move the table. Remove all unnecessary.
Так, берем третью трубу и крепим ее между двух боковых. Соединяем с одной боковой и, соответственно, соединяем с другой боковой. Плотненько скотчем. Аналогично делаем со второй стороны. Немножко можно отодвинуть. Каркас для арки у нас готов.
First, I'll show you a few patterns that are possible with this technique when there are 2 colors and 4 balloons in the clusters are used. We tie the twine to the chair, take the first cluster, put the cluster on the rope, twist it once, twice. So first we take the next cluster and do the same thing. Apply the rope with one hand, hold the tension, and with the other hand in the center where the balloons will bind together. We hold, pull to the first cluster, and with this hand that holds the rope tension, we twist around one balloon and around the second ball. This will be enough. Take the next cluster, shift the pattern with an offset to the right. Each balloon falls into a groove. That is, one balloon must be between 2 balloons of the previous cluster. We tighten, we twist it once, we twist it 2. And in the same way we repeat the same action. Once, twice, once, twice. With one hand we'll pull, with the second we attract the balloons around one ball, around the second ball, 2 times. Now we have about a meter of garland. One meter of garland takes 6-7 clusters, depending on the size. Now we have inflated for 19 centimeters, 6 clusters of 19 centimeters in size go 1 meter. A balloon in one cluster is 19 centimeters. We have 6 such clusters of 4 balloons. It is 24 balloons go to 1 meter. If we count on the arc, that we have 6 meters in size. 6 meters we multiply by 6 clusters. Then we have 36 clusters go to the arc 6 meters in size. 36 clusters of 4 balloons. We have 144 balloons in order to create a 6-meter arc. 144 balloons are 72 balloons of each color. So we need to buy a pack of blue and a pack of crimson. This will be enough to create an arc with a size of 6 meters. If you calculate it in money, approximately the cost price, taking into account that the balloon is about the grivna, then the balloons cost 144 grivna for 6 meters. 144 grivna, if you count it in dollars, it is $5. 144 balloons is not counting defected. The defective percentage is different in different manufacturers. We take it the very maximum, 10%. That is 144. Let it be 160 balloons you need to create an arc measuring 6 meters long, taking into account that the balloons will be inflated by 19 centimeters. This is a standard technique when a balloon of one color is located opposite a balloon of the same color, opposite each other, and all clusters are collected with a shift in one direction. In this weaving, all blue balloons are shifted to the right, and accordingly all crimson balloons are shifted to the right. Now I will make a slightly different weaving when the blue balloon will be located opposite the crimson one. and two balloons of the same color will be next to each other. In this pattern, balloons of the same color are located next to each other. We put it on a rope, twist it a couple of times, and make each subsequent cluster with a shift. Shift to the right or shift to the left. This technique is good for large-scale garlands, when you need to show the scale of the pattern. Place the clusters with a shift. There are actually a lot of patterns. I will send you a special table with patterns, according to which you can collect any garlands. While gathering, I can tell you about the temperature features. In the summer, the balloons increase in size due to the fact that gases expand with increasing temperature. In winter, accordingly, the balloons decrease in size due to the fact that gas, air, helium, it is compressed with decreasing temperature, so the balloon decreases. Therefore, it is advisable to inflate a smaller balloon in the summer. Those balloons that we inflate by 19 centimeters now, we inflate them by 18 centimeters in the summer. In winter, the same balloons that we inflate by 19 centimeters, we inflate them by 20 centimeters. And if there is a large temperature difference, then it is advisable to inflate the balloons on the street. More precisely, not to inflate but to collect garlands, so it will be more correct. Because when you weave such a garland and take it outside, where the temperature is, for example, minus 15, then the distance between the clusters will be very large, since the balloons will decrease in size. And you will have it like jelly. You will need to collect it again. Here we have such a wide weaving. Again, this is ideal for large, long garlands.
Вот.
That is, simply by arranging the balloons in a different way, we get a completely different weaving. So that will be enough to show. Let's put it next to each other. We will have such a pattern for our garland. The pattern is wider, and the garland seems to be more interesting. It's great to look at that angle. You will familiarize yourself with the rest of the weaving in the table that I will send you. And now we will try to make our design of the wireframe. Now I will show you how to assemble a garland on a frame. The same weaving as we did earlier. Let's break the four. A balloon of the same color, opposite each other. We fasten it clearly in the center. On the one hand, the pattern will go in one direction. On the other hand, the pattern will go in the other. From this cluster we go in order from the right to the left, from the right to the left. On the right the cluster will go in one direction, on the left the cluster will go in the other direction. Take the next cluster and attach it so that is centered. Move slightly to the right. Here we go back and see. Perfect. Measure with a tape measure. Well, I see that it still needs to be moved a little to the right. We take the next cluster and attach it to our frame. Move it. Connect the two clusters together. So from the center to the right, the cluster goes with a shift down. On the left, it will also be with a shift down. We continue connecting the clusters on the other side. And we have a central cluster from which we added 4 to the right and left. And our patterns will go down. The blue balloon and following will go down. And on the other hand as well, will go down. We do everything in turn. On the one hand, on the other hand, on one hand, on the other hand. We twist it once, we twist it a second time around the frame and move it to our main garland. We do the same on the other side. For your convenience, the garland can be expanded, that is, the frame cannot be lowered and the ladder isn't needed. You can simply unfold the frame on both sides so that is flat and already placed on the frame when it is on your floor. Now, when you assemble it, just lift it up and your frame will take the shape of an arc. This is very convenient. We don't have much room, so we will do it in this position. On the one hand, on the other hand. Now I want to talk about temperature features. In summer, the gases expand, the balloons increase in volume. In winter, on the contrary, the balloon shrinks, from the fact that gases are compressed. Helium, air, everything is compressed at cold temperatures, expands at high temperature, and accordingly, summer is not a favorable season for balloons. As the temperature rises, the balloons bursts more often. The balloons oxidize, become cloudy, and change color. The shine leaves. The balloon flies less. At elevated temperatures, a lot of unpleasant situations happen with the balloons. And there are certain recommendations for use. That is, it is advisable not to use the balloons on the street, to warn that the balloons change their color or that the balloons are bursting. It is imperative to warn the client about this, and especially to warn that if you hang the balloons in the sun, on the facade of the building where there is direct sunlight, the balloons will not last long. It is imperative to talk to the client about this and discuss these points. That is, you must disclaim responsibility for hanging up the balloons, and the balloons will burst in an hour, especially the black ball. And if you hang a white and black garland, then when the sun's rays hit, only white balloons will remain. Balloons of dark shades attract the sun and the balloons burst faster. But more often the sun dehydrates the balloon and the balloon begins to crack and burst. In summer, it is advisable to transport balloons in packages. It is advisable to inflate the balloons in a cool room when it is plus 30, plus 40 outside. Then your room should be plus 23, plus 24. The air conditioner should work. It is also advisable to transport the balloons in a car with the air conditioner. Just imagine a hot car. It is very hot out inside, and it happens that the balloons cannot always be brought in the form in which they were initially inflated. The balloons may burst, the balloons may become cloudy, especially transparent balloons. Transparent balloons become cloudy in this weather. It is better to either dissuade clients from transparent balloons or use a shine. Shine is a liquid that is used to treat the surface with a special cloth. This liquid increases the time the balloon is in its original form. That is, the balloon does not oxidize for a certain period of time and the balloon does not lose this shine. So, about the garland in winter. When you leave a warm room, your balloons shrink, decrease in size, and what you attach to the rope, each balloon individually decreased. And there is not a great distance. The distance between the fours increases, and in such cases, initially you need to very tightly fasten the fours to each other. If there is a very large difference between your office, your workshop, and the temperature that is outside, like you work at a temperature of plus 20, plus 25, and outside is minus 20, then you should understand that the balloons on the garland will be like jelly, and therefore it is advisable to collect the garland already on the street. It's hard, it's cold, but it would be more correct. There should not be a big temperature difference. When, for example, the balloons are outside and the temperature difference is very large, it is better to inflate the balloons on the street. This also applies to helium balloons, especially foiled. Imagine a situation where a foil balloon is inflated indoors in winter and taken out into the street. It shrinks very much. You can immediately see that the balloon is like deflated. But when the balloon is returned to the temperature at which it was inflated, it will immediately restore its shape. Well, the client needs to be warned about this. Very often, a client going out into the street sees that the balloon seemed to be deflated. He does not understand that this is because of the cold, and this is due to the fact that the temperature outside is below zero, and accordingly the balloon has compressed, and it has turned into defected balloon. When the balloon is inflated, the client needs to be warned about this so he does not worry about the balloon gets into a warm temperature. Into a normal, ordinary room, the balloon will regain its shape and there will be no such state. It is imperative to warn the client about this. Let's continue collecting the garland. The balloons are actually very capricious. And the client must be warned about many things. At certain times of the year, in the summer, you warn that it's undesirable to use balloons outside because they can burst. In winter, warn that the foil balloon shrinks in the cold. It's just not so visible on a latex balloon. On the foil it becomes straight, like it was blown away. The latex balloon just got a little smaller in size.
Вот.
Well, in fact, in winter, in the cold, the balloons stand for a very long time. There is no active sun, there is no direct sunlight. This is favorable weather. It happens that a balloon on the garland has blown off or burst. It is very easy to notice it. We burst the balloon that was blown out and we inflate a new balloon. We inflate the balloon by 19 centimeters, tie it up, and look for the tail of the balloon that burst. Pull it out as much as possible, tie a new balloon to it, and insert it in place of the balloon that burst. That's all, as if nothing burst or deflated. We continue further. As you can see, the pattern goes here to one side and there to the other side, clearly mark the center of our arc. So I will raise it a little due to the fact that we push our frame to the sides. We increase the height of the arc due to the fact that we move it to the sides. We reduce the height, but make our arc wider. In fact, you can start weaving a garland from one side, from below, and continue to the other side. But then we will not have this clear center from which two directions go. We thus designate the entrance to the store, the room, the office, the assembly hall. It looks much more interesting like that. It is great for the street if you make it a little heavier. Make not 2 boards, but make, for example, 3 boards. Make not 2 corners of fasteners, but make 3 corners of fasteners. It is important when the arc is on the street or in a room with a large number of people to fix it with a fishing line. Find a place. If it is outside, for example, find the 2 nearest trees and make stretch marks. Fishing line stretch marks, because the line will not be visible and therefore it is excellent for this purpose. As a rule, such arcs are adjacent to the wall, adjacent to the entrance to the store, to the front of the building. So on one side they already have a support, but it is advisable to fix it anyway. Find a carnation, find a place where you can attach the mounting platform. This is necessary so that when the wind or moving or any mechanical influences, the balloons do not bend. It is desirable anyway. Protect yourself, secure the arc, and do additional fastening steps. We made 3 meters clearly, and we have 1.5 meters left on one side and 1.5 meters on the other side. We do all the same actions. We fasten it on the side, fasten it on the other side, and go to the very bottom. And we end up with this final result. Such arcs can be made without a frame. We just put the clusters on the twine and mount them using the mounting pads. A detailed video will be as an additional video to our main lesson. Usually we inflate such garlands in our office, in our workshop. We can fix the balloons in place, or we can bring them in ready-made pieces and make decorations on the spot. Here is the second option. This is when you do everything in the place where you will have the design. You inflate the balloons on the spot. You do the installation on the spot. All this actually takes a very long time. You must understand whether your customer has this time. Of course, it is more convenient to do everything in a workshop and bring it to the place and arrange it within 15-20 minutes. The creation of such an arc, when 2 people are working, takes about an hour. The creation of a frame, inflation of balloons, and installation, believe me, if you have no experience in decoration, in installation, then for the first time you need to take a large amount of time, at least come a couple of hours before the start, before the opening, the start of the event, and so on. It is very important to take your ladder with you. You must have different ladders. There should be a small ladder, there should be a large folding one, because there are different designs, a lot of high-rise work. For work at height, you must charge an additional fee, usually 10% of the order. I do not recommend using other people's ladders because this is your safety, your life, and the life of your employees, and you will be responsible for what happens to them. That is why I recommend using proven, your own reliable ladders. Because personally I have fallen from other people's ladders about 5 times. Thank God it's alright. But this is one of the most important conditions. When you arrive for decoration, you arrive with your own staircase. And it depends on the design, which staircase to take, small or large. Before inflating the balloons, you should visit the place of your decoration and take measurements. You need to understand at what height your balloons are located, where it is most convenient to attach the balloons. What tool is needed for this? You may need to make additional fastenings. Perhaps your ladder will not be enough. Perhaps you will need to ask someone for the ladder. Borrow or rent, perhaps. There are some peculiarities. For example, the client wants balloons under the sign. You understand, if you attach the balloons approximately an additional 50 centimeters, then the door that opens in the store will not open. Here, that is, all these nuances you need to think over initially. You should definitely talk with the customer, discuss colors or show options for how the balloons will look. Similar examples that you did or did your colleagues. No one forbids you to show other designs options. Do not publish them, and do not say that these are your works, but to show that you can do the same. Always take a margin of time, because there are force majeure. There are situations when for example, the door has not been opened, or you arrive and understand that you don't have enough balloons. It seemed as everything was correctly counted, but some situation arose that influenced the fact that there are not enough balloons. This can also be. All such nuances should be foreseen. You should give the order half an hour before the start of the event, and the client must approve it. It is imperative that everything is on time and everything is without delay. It happens that the client wants visualization. He wants to look at his store already decorated with balloons in advance. There are two options. You can learn Corel or Photoshop program, or contact a specialist who will help you in this matter. Pay a certain price and the artist transfers the design from previous orders or from a picture taken from the internet, your customer's store photo. Well, accordingly, you need to take an additional amount of money for visualization. Such visualizations are made not only for store facades, but also when ordering photo zones, wedding photo zones, children's events. Well, they can be applied to any holiday. This is a classic weaving for creating garlands, for creating standard arcs. In addition, I want to show several weaves for collecting panel and for collecting a flat garland or arc. Now I will show you the options for creating the panel or flat wall techniques. It can be called differently. With the help of panel, you can make very beautiful pictures. Here you need to prepare a layout in advance and think over which picture you still want to see on this panel. Or this design can be used as a wall, as a solid wall, and as a solid background for something. Here are two simple options. So first, we inflate the balloons 20 centimeters, 10 inches. We will work in clusters of 4 balloons. They inflated at 2, tied it up, inflated the second 2 by 20 centimeters. We got a 4 and inflated a cluster of 5-inch balloons, 4 each, by 12 centimeters. Inflate 5-inch balloons of the same color by 20 centimeters. First the 2s, then 2 2s, form a 4. We tie the twine to a cluster of 10-inch ball balloons. Put the compressor on the table, lay down our 4, put a 4 of 5-inch balloons inflated by 12 centimeters pressed tightly against the first 4 and right around one 5-inch ball and around the second 5-inch ball. I prepared the balloons in advance, and now we alternate clusters of 10-inch balloons and 5-inch balloons. We attach, press, and twist. We make a square garland. With which we can create a wall. They are very well connected to each other. I'm talking about garlands. If you make two identical garlands, they can be very well connected into one whole. If there are a lot of such garlands, then a large wall is formed accordingly. The technique is very simple. You can use larger balloons, and our panel, our garland will consist of such garlands. For connecting it, it is advisable to use rubber bands for money. One side of the rubber band is attached to one garland, the other side of the rubber band is attached to the second garland. And thus we connect our garlands with the same tension. The technique is very simple, and this technique can be used not only with panel walls. It can be used as a basis for numbers, a basis for flower arrangements, a basis for figures. It can be tried in various other installations. The next technique will be 5-inch balloons. 5-inch balloons inflated to 12 centimeters. They are inflated in twos and are also connected in twos. We blow off the 2 by 12 centimeters, tie the first two with twine, and prepare the two in advance. Take it on top as a 4. But we do not touch the tails with the tails. We do not connect them as a 4. We just put them on top, apply it, and twist it. That is, they should not only touch balloon to balloon. We take the next two, attaching them. Here the third two must touch the first two. They must rely on each other evenly. We put it on, twisted it a couple of times, and we do the following steps in the same way. We connect the balloon with the same tension. We applied it and twisted. With this technique, you can make meter, 2 meter, 3 meter garlands. We can prepare a layout in advance, where in the picture each balloon will have its own specific color. When we put the garlands together, either a logo or a certain picture or a pattern will be depicted. We can prepare a pattern in advance. To lay out, certain circles will be crossed out from such balloons, and we will be able to draw our logo on our figure, our pattern along them. All this can be done manually. Certain circles can be drawn if it is not a heavy logo, not a heavy pattern. If it is some kind of a larger scale sketch, for example, to make a human face, then you can use the Corel program and draw it all in Corel. Such garlands are created where each balloon has its own color. For example, this garland can be part of the logo. This is the parent, like that will be like this. The next garland will be with completely different lines, and when we connect these garlands with each other, a full-fledged picture of something larger is formed. This is a very cool technique, very easy. In fact, the most difficult thing here is to collect the right balloons in the right place. Well, you can also just make some kind of background using not 5-inch but 10-inch, 12-inch balloons, and use it simply as well as the background that you need in color. Now I will show you how to make flat weaving. Flat weaving can be in the form of a garland or in the form of an arc. Flat weaving is needed in order to fix some additional elements. For example, you have a thematic arc and you want to add cartoon characters there or add foil stars there. It is very easy to attach such elements to flat weaving. It is gathered with the help of 5-inch and 10-inch balloons, if it is garland. If it is an arc, a 12-inch balloon is added. We take a 10-inch balloon, inflate 2 balloons by 20 centimeters. And take a 2 and inflate by 12 centimeters. Connect from 5-inch balloons into a 2, from 10-inch balloons into a cluster of 4. And we will alternate such a 4 with a cluster of 4s inflated from 5-inch balloons. So to create a garland, we need a cluster of 5-inch balloons inflated by 12 centimeters and a cluster of 10-inch balloons inflated by 20 centimeters. Take a twine, tie a cluster of 5-inch balloons, you can also collect this garland on a pipe. Take a cluster of 5-inch balloons, apply a cluster of 5-inch and 10-inch balloons, twist it. It turns out like this. We take the next cluster of 5-inch balloons, apply it, twist it tightly to each other, get such a figure. And then we continue to alternate different sizes. With a cluster of 5-inch balloons. Now we get a canvas, but if we change this balloon and inflate it not by 20 centimeters but by about 24, it will already be a 12-inch ball. From a 12-inch balloon we will not have a garland but an arc, not straight but such a semicircular. Due to the change in this ball, it is inflated more, accordingly it will expand. This balloon can be inflated not by 20 centimeters but by 18 centimeters. Due to this we will get an arc. Now it looks like panel which can be attached to the wall, and here you can apply, for example, letters Happy Birthday, or you can close some kind of pipe. Let's say a solemn event is taking place. This pipe is very important. You can close it with such a garland. The advantage is that it is wide, and here there is a flat canvas. It does not fit like this to the wall, but it fits like this. It is thin but wide. This is her big plus, and here it is very easy to attach additional elements. You can make Happy March 8. You can put a girl there due to the fact that there is a flat weaving and all goes on the same level. It is easy to attach here. And these elements will fit perfectly. We use this technique often. We make arcs, we make a canvas, and in general this is an excellent technique that is used in work for aero design. Today we have learned how to inflate balloons and collect garlands, try different patterns, work with the creation of panel, the creation of garlands for panel, and work with flat weaving. This is the basis. This is something that you can already use in your work, practice, try different elements, different designs, and that's not all. We will also work with asymmetric garlands and walls. All this we will consider in our next lessons.